No.
Order of operations, please. Nice. So I'm going to say please. Excuse. Last year I tried teaching you to write it with a my above the deer. And then you could do either kind of ant. I kind of like that word picture. But the reason we do that is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So parentheses, e exponents.
Wrong kind of ants.
Maybe. And plus. Yeah, when I first thought of the other kind of ant, it's kind of cute. You got an ant on a little leash. You try not to step on it when it stops to sniff the fire hydrant or something. Okay. So for these, if you're trying to get a numerical answer, so I'm going to say when, pick blue. So you always do them in this order when, technically in math we call it evaluating an expression. Evaluating. Or that's basically if you're trying to get a number answer. If they give you a problem and they say, what number does this equal? You're trying to take this big, exciting, awesome-looking mess of numbers here and say, well, that equals this number. You always start with parentheses, then do exponents next, and so on and so forth. All right, so first step in this baby is to do parentheses. 4 minus 7 is a negative 3. So I'm going to slide that up a little bit. And I have my negative, I have my negative 3. And that's squared. I'm going to still put it in the parentheses. You could, I suppose, take the parentheses off of there. A lot of times, people will either double up parentheses or they'll do like a bracket like this for the second set of parentheses. Sometimes they'll do a curly bracket, the kind of the set whose members are thing for a third one. But what do we do next? 8 plus negative 3 or negative 3 squared? And that gives me a 9. So I have this 8 plus 9 left inside my brackets. So we could change it to parentheses. 3 times 8 or 8 plus 9? 17. So then I get 30 plus another 21 for a total of 51. If you have your calculator and you punch in exactly how it's shown, it should spit out a 51. You will get some questions on the test that say, hey, do this without a calculator. I want you to be able to do it without a calculator just because sometimes it's faster. Something like this, use your calculator in real life. But the more math you can do in your head, the better it's probably going to be. Okay, and example 1? Yeah. Example 2. 3 minus 4 squared plus 5 becomes 3 minus
16
plus 5. Now we're at that whole addition subtraction. Do we do the addition before we do the subtraction? Does it not matter? It actually should. Because if you do this, you get a negative 13 plus 5, so negative 8. If you do this, you get a 21. 3 minus 21 is negative 18. So order matters. So if we have like all addition and subtraction, like this step, we work left to right. So if you have those, you have to go left to right. And that's why I like writing the addition and subtraction kind of together, because you work left to right when it's all those. So 3 minus 16 gives me negative 13. And then plus 5 gives me a negative 8. So I'm starting at negative 13 on the number line. Plus 5 brings me 5 more to the right, which isn't enough to get me past 0 to the positives. So, we okay on those? Yeah. Looks like I didn't leave a lot of room for this next one, but that's okay because we're going to work across to the right. If you have a fraction, it's kind of like there's hidden parentheses in the numerator and the denominator. You need to simplify the numerator as much as you can, simplify the denominator as much as you can, and then divide. Unless there's some other weird parenthesis thing going on maybe. So in the numerator we have the number 9. In the denominator we have a 4. I'm going to write it in 2 steps. Feel free to just write it in 1. But my 2 squared becomes a 4. So I get an 8 minus 4 there. 9 over 4. You could reduce that. So could say I just do the 2.25. I suppose that's not technically reducing, but you could make it look prettier. So, or you could say 2 1/4. That'd be another way that would look nicer. So 2 1/4. So I'm going to say be careful with order of operations when converting from words to an equation. When we say 4 times the sum of 3 and 2, do we need parentheses or no? So we have 4 times 3 plus 2. Is that the right answer, or do we need parentheses? Yep. Because it's 4 times the sum, parentheses have to go around 3 and 2. We have to make it add, and then we do that sum times 4, or 4 times that sum. The square root of the quotient of 8 and 7. What's inside the radical? 8, 7, or both? Both. Because it's the square root of the quotient, we'd have an 8 over 7 all inside the radical. And as long as the little radical symbol comes down far enough, you don't need to put parentheses around your 8/7, but you should make sure it does come down adequately far. Any questions on this section?